The banking crisis hasn't provided an awful lot of comedy in the past 5 years, but it's just been given the Woody Allen touch. His new film, Blue Jasmine, stars Cate Blanchett as a New York socialite who's ruined after her banker husband is exposed as a Bernie Madoff-like fraud. Stephen Smith met Woody Allen in Paris.
So what do you think?
I love it. You shouldn't spoil me so.
Well, why not? Who else am I going to spoil?
Woody Allen's new film is about greed, deception, and the consequences of financial sleight of hand. It could hardly be more timely and outward-looking, but Allen says the inspiration was domestic.
She's not just broke, she's all screwed up.
Well, you heard me?
Excuse me, are you talking to me? I was home having lunch with my wife, and she happened to inadvertently tell me a story about a woman in high social circles, very rich in New York. And then suddenly, one day, quite unexpectedly, everything came to a halt. She was traumatized by it, which I can understand. And so I thought this would make an interesting story.
I'm sure this is a big come down from what you're used to.
You'll be very happy to know that I lost every cent of my own money.
It's a tour de force by Cate Blanchett as your leading lady.
As I was writing it, I thought to myself, it would be great if I could get Cate Blanchett, but what are the odds that she'll be free just when I need her? And, it's like a gift. It's like being handed a hydrogen bomb or something. You don't have to worry about anything anymore.
Blue Moon was the song that was playing. You know the song Blue Moon. Yeah, but I always wanted to do something with my life. I had energy. I didn't just shop and lunch and go to matinees. I ran charities for poor people. Raised money for museums and schools. With wealth comes responsibilities. I wasn't just some mindless consumer like so many of my so-called friends. Though I won't say I dislike buying pretty clothes.
Blue Jasmine recalls the financial crash and also the true story of Bernie Madoff, the white-collar criminal who defrauded thousands. His own wife said she'd been in the dark about it. In Allen's movie, the villain, played by Alec Baldwin, comes to a sticky end. But that wasn't true of all the bad guys on Wall Street and elsewhere.
It's true. There were a certain amount of bankers, rich people, who were not hurt and who have come back beautifully, but there were plenty that were hurt too on that level. It wasn't that every rich person simply got a free pass. There were a lot of people with money who got hurt. And the same thing on the mid-level people and the low-level people. Many people on all levels were shattered. The United States has not been in a good place at all. There have been an enormous amount of conflicts about issues that, privacy issues, abortion issues, the issues that are clear-cut and common sense would give you the answer on them, but because of an enormous amount of pressure from fringe groups, progress is held up. The world is in a very scary position. I don't see anything optimistic about the future. I'm not optimistic on the Middle East. I'm not optimistic on the environment. I'm not optimistic on general international relations. The economies of the world are struggling.
It's being so cheerful that keeps you going. From the outside, it's an enviable thing. This fantastic body of work. You're able to be your own boss, aren't you, more or less?
Well, yes, I've been lucky that way, but still, in the end, as in my opening scene in Stardust Memories, the people who are winners on the train and people who are losers on the train wind up at the same junkie depot.
One of the brightest comic talents to come from America in years, an offbeat comedian, successful screenwriter, etc., and a very powerful sex symbol. Signed Woody Allen. And here he is, Mr. Woody Allen.
Before he started in movies, Allen was a stand-up comedian.
And my parents realize suddenly that I've been kidnapped, and they snap into action immediately. They rent out my room. The ransom note says for my father to leave $1,000 in a hollow tree in New Jersey. He has no trouble raising the $1,000, but he gets a hernia carrying the hollow tree.
He says watching the veteran comic Mort Sahl working in New York recently made him think about dusting off the act again.
And so I thought to myself after, gee, would that be, it always looks like fun to do when you see him doing it. And I thought, maybe I would like to give that a try again. And it's something that I'm thinking about, but haven't committed to it.
But I think I should open up with the swan or the giraffe. The swan is pretty.
Allen famously said that 80% of life is just showing up. Like his indefatigable showbiz agent, Danny Rose, Allen never quits. He seems to average a movie a year.
If you take my advice, I think you're going to become one of the great balloon folding acts of all time, really, because I don't see you just folding these balloons in joints. You listen to me, you're going to fold these balloons at universities and colleges. You're going to make your snail and your elephant on Broadway. You know what I mean? But the thing to remember is before you go out on stage, you got to look in the mirror, you got to say your 3 S's. Star, smile, strong.
Star, smile, strong.
The director describes his films as a distraction. From what? From the hereafter.
Eventually there will be nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing at all, absolutely nothing.
You say that with a smile on your face, though.
I mean, yeah, because it's so hard to conceive of nothing. No darkness, no lightness, no air.
No movies.
No nothing, yeah. And no anything, no nothing, but no anything.
Like a tiny flame flickering in an immense void with nothing but waste.
As Allen's canon proves, the great thing about the meaninglessness of life is that it's good for a few laughs.
What are you doing Saturday night?
Committing suicide.
What about Friday night?
People ask me about my legacy. What does that mean? I mean, do you think Shakespeare cares about his legacy, or has cared one day after he died if he cared about his legacy or anything at all? I do have a gloomy view, but you can't walk around. I think the poet Philip Larkin wrote about it, that you mustn't infect others with your gloom. You mustn't panic other people.
Woody Allen, but keep hold of that legacy thought. By any stretch.